Whether you were braving a hike up a mountain or dodging sightseers at Castle Rigg Stonehenge,